The lie you keep telling yourself. You say you want freedom. You claim you crave it. You scream about it online. You chant it at rallies. You wear it like a badge, like a brand, like a costume. But you're lying. And worse, you don't even know it. You don't want freedom. You want the illusion of freedom. The feeling of freedom. The marketing version, polished, safe, sexy. You want the beach, the vacation, the six-figure income that falls into your lap while you sleep. You want freedom without fire. You want liberation without sacrifice. You want awakening without destruction. But real freedom, it doesn't look like that. It looks like chaos, like solitude, like burning your past to the ground and starting from nothing. It looks like facing a mirror with no mask and finally seeing what's staring back. Real freedom is not a luxury. It's a rebellion. It's a war against everything you've been conditioned to accept. And that's why it terrifies you. Because the second you touch it, your old life begins to fall apart. Freedom doesn't whisper. It screams. Freedom doesn't come in softly with soothing music and affirmations. It comes crashing in like a storm. It rips the blindfold off your eyes. It shatters the fake smile glued to your face. It exposes every lie you've ever believed about the world, about others, about yourself. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It doesn't wait for your permission. It shows up, looks you dead in the soul, and says, everything you thought you knew, burn it. And here's the kicker. Most people run, not because they're weak, but because freedom feels like death, the death of who you used to be. And if you're still clinging to comfort, if you're still trying to be liked, if you're still begging for approval from a system that profits from your silence, then freedom isn't just uncomfortable. It's horrifying. The invisible cage you're afraid to leave. You think slavery looks like chains, like handcuffs, like someone barking orders in your face. No, modern slavery is comfortable. It's quiet. It's wrapped in convenience and entertainment. You live in a cage made of soft pillows and glowing screens. You're drugged on dopamine and scrolling through distraction. You've been pacified with likes, notifications, fast food, Netflix, porn, and influencers who wouldn't last a day outside their curated realities. And yet, you defend this cage. You love it. You need it. Because stepping outside it would mean facing the horrifying truth. You've wasted years living someone else's dream. You've traded your soul for security. You've accepted comfort as a substitute for purpose. And the worst part, you did it willingly. Why? Freedom demands the death of who you've been to become free. You must let the version of yourself that settled die. The version that said, it's fine, I can't change. I'm too tired, I'm just being realistic. You have to bury the soft, obedient, apologetic self. The one who made everyone comfortable but kept you empty. The one who laughed at jokes that weren't funny. Who said yes when your soul screamed no. Freedom is resurrection, but first, it's crucifixion. You will be crucifixion. You will be crucified by your own ego, by your comforts, by your identity, and that's why it hurts. That's why people quit halfway, because becoming free is not a rebrand, it's a complete dismantling. And unless you're willing to go through that fire, you'll stay soft, safe, caged. The system is built to keep you numb. They don't need to chain you anymore. They don't need to lock you in a cell. They just keep you distracted, keep you scared, keep you small. They feed you fear through headlines. They steal your time through dopamine. They sell you fake rebellion so you never taste the real thing. And if you ever do try to wake up, if you ever do start asking questions, they slap a label on you. Conspiracy theorist, crazy, problematic, too intense. Because the system doesn't need you to be evil. It just needs you to be comfortable enough to stay quiet. But you're not here to stay quiet. You're not here to obey. You're here to wake the hell up and tear the whole lie apart. You're not tired. You're not tired. You're numb every time you say, I'm just tired. What you really mean is, I'm disconnected. Disconnected from purpose. Disconnected from truth. Disconnected from your own power. You're not physically exhausted. Your soul is starving. Because you weren't meant to wake up, work a job you hate, eat dead food, scroll for meaning, fake your smile, and repeat the next day like a good little drone. You weren't built for sedation. You were built for fire. But you've been lulled into a trance. A sweet, soft coma, wrapped in routines, empty pleasures, and low-stakes distractions. And you know it. Deep down, you feel it. That little voice, whispering, this isn't it. This can't be all there is. But what do you do when that voice gets loud? You drown it out. With noise, with sugar, with porn, with a new show, a new app, a new excuse. You don't need another nap. You need a rebirth. The terror of having no one to blame when you become free. You lose something dangerous. Someone to blame. No more scapegoats. No more comfort in pointing fingers. No more hiding behind your trauma like a shield. Yes, what happened to you was real. Yes, the pain was real. But here's the truth. The moment you awaken, your pain becomes your responsibility. Not because it's your fault, but because you now hold the power to transmute it, to use it, to weaponize it into meaning. To forge yourself into something divine through the fire of what tried to break you. And most people hate that truth. Because it means they can't play the victim anymore. Victimhood is seductive. It gives you community, sympathy, permission to stay small. but it's a prison dressed as protection. And the second you taste real freedom, you'll feel that prison crumble, and you'll either rise or run. Freedom doesn't feel safe, because it's not. This is where most people turn back. This is where comfort grabs them by the ankle and says, "Come home. Let's just go back to easy." Because freedom is not a warm bath. It's not a sunrise meditation. It's not a motivational reel with music and hustle quotes. Freedom feels like leaping off a cliff with no parachute and no guarantee that your wings will work. It's jumping anyway, because you finally understand that staying in the cage is more dangerous than flying. And here's the twist. The cage didn't keep you safe. It kept you small. It stole your years. It coddled your fears. It buried your instincts under layers of performance and people-pleasing. And now, your soul is screaming for a jailbreak. Everyone wants to escape until it's time to burn bridges you want to change. You want to be free, then you'll have to let some people go. Some habits go. Some parts of yourself, the polite version, the passive version, the edited version, have to die screaming. You don't get to keep your comfort and claim freedom. You don't get to avoid confrontation and call yourself awakened. Freedom demands you become someone the old you would fear. You will be misunderstood. You will be judged. You will be hated. Not by enemies, but by those who once called you family, friend, lover. Because once you stop playing small, you become a mirror for their mediocrity. And you know what most people do when a mirror makes them uncomfortable. They smash it, so be ready. While you'll be alone at first, freedom is lonely at the beginning. Because when you leave the matrix, you leave behind the tribe, the herd, the culture of convenience and compromise. You'll sit in silence. You'll eat with your own thoughts. You'll have to face the void, that haunting space where distractions used to live. And in that void, you'll either collapse or create. Because loneliness isn't your enemy. It's your teacher, your forge, your sanctuary. Every great transformation begins in exile. Before you meet your real tribe, the awakened, the relentless, the warriors, you must first meet yourself. And that meeting will either terrify you or set you on fire. The real you is not who you think you are. The you that follows trends, avoids conflict, and plays nice. That's not you. That's a mask, a costume stitched together from expectations, fears, and survival instincts. You built it to survive your childhood, to win love, to avoid punishment, to belong. But you weren't born to be accepted. You were born to become. And becoming means shedding the skin of who you were trained to be and stepping into the terrifying, electrifying unknown of who you really are. Not who the world wants, not who your parents prefer, not who your culture tolerates, who you actually are. Wild, focused, visionary, unapologetic, dangerous in the best way. And the world isn't ready for that version of you, which is exactly why you need to unleash it. You were trained to obey, not to think from the moment you were born. You were taught to sit down, shut up, behave, blend in, be nice, don't question authority, get good grades, follow the rules, fit in. But who made those rules? Who benefits when you follow them without blinking? Who profits when you doubt your instincts and ignore your voice? You weren't educated, you were programmed. You weren't raised, you were conditioned. And now here you are, afraid to speak the truth, afraid to break out, afraid to stand alone. Because somewhere deep inside, you still think freedom is wrong. That it makes you dangerous, unstable, or ungrateful. But let me be crystal clear. You don't owe loyalty to your programming. You don't owe respect to your indoctrination. You owe everything to your truth. And if that truth makes people uncomfortable, good, let it. This is why they're terrified of you waking up. If you wake up, you stop buying what they're selling. You stop living in fear. You stop eating poison. You stop worshiping their false idols. You start thinking. You start asking real questions. You start saying no to bullshit, to lies, to control. And one free mind is more dangerous than 1,000 obedient ones. Because a free mind can't be manipulated, can't be guilt-tripped, can't be bought or boxed or branded. That's why they push fear. That's why they flood you with drama and division and distraction. Because as long as you stay scared, you stay manageable. And as long as you crave comfort, you stay on. Rebellion isn't a phase. It's a return to self. They want you to believe rebellion is a youth thing, a phase, a tantrum, a glitch. It's not. It's a spiritual response to lies. It's the immune system of the soul kicking in when the system becomes too toxic. Rebellion is not destruction. It's liberation. Rebellion says, I refuse to pretend. I refuse to comply with my own extinction. I refuse to wear this fake smile one more second. You were born with fire. Born with instinct. Born with the ability to see through the illusion, but they covered your fire with shame. Taught you to fear your own power. Fed you guilt for wanting more. Labeled your rage as bad attitude. Called your truth too intense. Why? Because a person who remembers who they are can't be controlled. The world will try to shame you into silence the moment you start breaking free. You will trigger the sleeping. They'll call you arrogant, selfish, crazy, too much, too intense, too radical. Because when you reject the cage, you force everyone still in it to confront their own chains. And most people would rather hate you than admit they're still slaves. They'll say, you changed. They'll say, you're different now. That you think you're better. And you know what? They're right. You are different. You did change. You did get better. Not better than them. Better than the version of you that's settled. And if they can't handle that, let them fall away. Because your freedom isn't up for debate. What happens when you step into power? Here's the secret nobody tells you. Once you stop fearing freedom, once you fully embrace the chaos, the silence, the fire, the solitude, you stop craving approval. You stop asking permission. You stop diluting your soul to be palatable, and something wild happens. Something sacred. You become magnetic. Not because you're trying, but because you're real, raw, unapologetically alive. People will stare, some with awe, some with disgust, some with secret envy, but they'll all feel it. That undeniable energy that only comes from a person who chose their soul over the script. And that's when you become dangerous. That's when you become unstoppable. That's when you finally become free. Why freedom feels scary, crafted to land like a bomb in the soul of your viewers. It's intense, poetic, aggressive, and completely unrelenting. Let's bring this home. Your pain is not a curse, it's a map that aching in your chest, that discomfort in your soul. That restlessness at 3 a.m., that no screen, no drink, no body can satisfy. It's not weakness, it's not trauma, it's not depression, it's a call. A signal from your higher self, from the version of you that remembers who you are, saying, wake up. Your pain is the fire alarm, not the fire. And most people try to put out the alarm instead of escaping the burning house. But you're still reading, still listening, still here. Because some part of you knows, you were never meant for a life that fits neatly in a box. You were meant for wild freedom, radical truth, and brutal purpose. And yes, that will cost you, but it will buy you back. You are the storm. They told you to fear, they warned you not to feel too much, not to speak too loud, not to dream too big, not to want too deeply, not to move too fast. Why? Because if you ever stopped holding back, you'd change everything. That the system runs on your self-doubt. It thrives when you hesitate. It survives when you shrink, but once you stop apologizing for your power, once you reclaim your voice, your instincts, your fire, you become a force of nature, a hurricane of purpose, a lightning strike of vision, a wildfire that refuses to be tamed. And that's what they fear the most. A soul that can't be bought, a mind that can't be broken, a human who remembers that freedom is their birthright. You don't need permission to be free. You don't need society's blessing. You don't need validation from your parents. You don't need a certificate or a checklist or an Instagram quote. You just need one thing, a decision to stop waiting, stop complying, stop explaining, stop outsourcing your worth, to walk away from the script, the mask, the prison, even if your voice shakes, even if your knees buckle, even if it terrifies every part of you. Because fear is not the enemy. Fear is the compass. And freedom, real freedom, it lives on the other side of that fear. It demands everything fake in you must die, so everything real in you can finally live. This is your moment. Burn the mask, choose the fire, right here, right now. You are standing at the cliff edge of your life. Behind you, numbness, comfort, control, predictability, mediocrity. In front of you, fire, fury, truth, depth, the unknown. One is a slow death. The other is the messy, beautiful, terrifying rebirth of everything you were meant to become. So what's it going to be? Stay safe, or go sovereign, keep performing. Or finally, live raw, because no one's coming to save you. No one's going to hand you freedom like a gift. You either take it, bleeding, screaming, blazing, or you rot quietly in the comfort they gave you. And that's the whole point, isn't it? Freedom was never supposed to feel easy. It was supposed to feel holy. This isn't motivation. This is war. A war for your mind, for your soul, for your future. And if you're still here, still breathing, then you were born to fight. Not just for yourself, but for the world that's starving for truth. For the ones still sleeping. For the next generation watching how you move. So burn your comfort, sharpen your will, and walk into the fire. Because the world doesn't need another nice person. It needs you, fully awake, fully alive, and finally, free.